Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It is September 6th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and just a range day today. Not a lot of trades today. Not a very good trading day. Um, we've had some pretty good moves the last week or so it didn't surprise me that we were due to. I really thought maybe we might take some of the sell-off from yesterday back, but I guess we did take a good bit of it back actually between yesterday and today. We still closed up. So, and you can see here, even though this goes into yesterday's price action, you really got one leg up. I'd measure there first, and then once you went higher, you look for a measured move. You can see we didn't quite get that, but if we'd have continued higher, I would have measured all the way to here, and then actually you probably should measure it from here and then from here too, and you can see we went a little further than that. So but I would have also, if we continued higher, I would have probably measured here and then from here, and we didn't quite get that, so you can see that. But just a couple of different ways. And then you also would probably just want to measure this, and we went higher from this low point to there, and you can see we really met that one, and we went just a little further. So the more recent price action is usually the more accurate on your measured moves. So something to think about there. But you had to just sit and be patient this morning. You really did. And again, you can see it's just a range day. Earlier I was playing the high and the low, but as the price action progressed, it was pretty obvious that this was your important low and your important high, and this was important midline. You can just see prices working both sides of that line. So, and generally, your better entries are going to be off your highs and lows, but you didn't get many. Prices spent all day right in the middle pretty much until we bounced here, and then we had a nice little uptrend. And you can see that trend working higher. Nice little channel there. That's a fairly easy to see channel on that particular one there. But let's talk about the trades. It won't take long today. We'll wrap it up. Early on when I came in, we were trending up, and we got a close outside here. We got a first entry, second entry, but you don't get a very good setup. It does make a new high, and you're a good bit away from the EMA, and you get that big bearish bar. Notice that double top and that couple of ticks, and I mean that's a nice reversal bar. You got to figure we're probably, this channel's played out here. We're probably coming back to the EMA. Generally, you want to wait on a lower high, but you don't always get one. Like here, you really didn't get one. You might have considered entering here if this was a little better bar and went right into those lows, but you just don't really get a nice lower high. You don't want to go short right here after that big move down. You want to see a little bit of correction, and you actually get that, and then you get a new low, and then it reverses and takes off. So I like going long. There's actually a second entry right there. You could almost argue for this to be blue. It's just so much overlap here, and that's congestion. You get a failed break out the high side, failed break out the low side, but everything was in place after this little channel, this little trend line coming down. You get that break and move to a new low. And you really get like a little double test here of this level. And this is a test and a test and then a test. So there's several tests of that breakout area here, and it reverses. So you could, like I said, you could really argue for it to be almost blue, but I just think it's a little risky. If this is going to be a range day, which is what it's looking like at this point, it's right in the middle, and you got to be careful of those. So then we run up. There's actually a channel trend line working up here too. A break, a new high. It's kind of a similar setup. But once we started going higher here, I was concerned that we may make a measured leg up, and maybe it's not going to be a range day. And even though this is plays out and you're a little bit away from the EMA, you're not quite that far away by the time you go short right there. It does pull back and turn down. It goes higher and turns back down, but it's right into these lows in the EMA. I just don't think you want to risk entering there. And of course, you got this little channel working down, and you get a close outside, and you actually get a couple of legs up, and you get a second entry short right here. Notice that low, first entry, pull back, second entry. A nice little bearish bar. So we'll probably test these lows. It turns out it takes off, and of course, once it starts heading lower, you'd look for a measured move. We don't quite get that, but it's within a tick, so it's not very far off. You do end up actually getting the measured move to the tick on the next move down before it bounces. So, but that would have been my target there. And then you're working up, close outside. There's a little bit of a reversal pattern here, but you've already had your break, and then there's two attempts to go lower, so you figure it's probably going to go higher here. But the concern is it's right back into the midline and right back into these highs. And although I think that would have worked, it's real close. I just don't think you want to go long right there. And as you can see, it was close, but it turns back down. And so now you got your break, two legs up to a new high, big bearish bar. It's a really big bar. You may let it break lower and drop a limit order, maybe right at the low, or maybe a tick back and see if you get filled. If you went more in a tick back, you may have even got left out on a tick back because it's a limit order you have to put in there. So the only place for sure you would have gotten filled is right at the low there. And it runs down and then it bounces. And then this is a double test of this level right here. And so when it bounced there, I like going long just to try to ride it back to the EMA. And if you get lucky, maybe it's that major break lower or low of the day. Notice it went one tick lower than those two. And it's a nice bullish reversal type bar. So it may turn out to be that all important entry, just like these may turn out to be one up here. And it does. And so off it goes. And then you get your little reversal here. Again, you got to be careful on a reversal pattern on a range day like this. But we've tested this twice. So we're probably going to take on off. And if you got enough room here. So you might try letting it break higher and drop a limit order. I'd still be okay with a entering on a buy stop right there. But if you wanted a limit order, you could have got filled all the way back to here because it came all the way back and matched that low before it took off again. This one's not bullish enough, or I'd say you might enter there. And then it comes back one more time. But again, it's not a very good bar, and it's right into that midline. And so you just really have to skip those. But notice you got a double bottom there, and you get a first entry, second entry. It fails, but also it's right off the EMA. You're kind of going sideways, but it's that little failed break lower. So I like that one just to ride it back to test the high, and it actually pushes a little higher. So you could have easily gotten out of that one. And then, of course, notice that new low, and this is a failed second entry short, and that's the first break higher. Even though it tries to go lower two more times, that's still the first break higher. So it would have been your first opportunity. It's a nice bullish bar. And that's the first break of this channel, so you're probably going to test that high. It's late in the day, and it's just a first entry, but it is a failed second entry short. You do expect it to probably test that high, but it's been a range day, so maybe it just traps you and turns down. So I made it green. I just think it's late in the day to be taking a chance of going long right into those highs. So not a lot of trades today. If your chart was a little different, you might have found one or two optional trades in here that you could probably argue for. But these are the only ones I saw on my chart that I really liked. And not a lot of them today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a couple of green ones. So I mean, there's there's still some trades there, but you had to sit and be patient today. Wasn't one of those days where you get a string of trades one right after the next. You just had to kind of sit and be patient. So that's the name of the game, patience and being able to sit tight and know when to pull the trigger or not. And sometimes the best trade is no trade. And just don't lose sight of that. That's where a lot of people really mess up. They have a hard time. They think after an hour they should have found a trade. Well, on most days you probably should, but some days you might have to go an hour or 2 hours before you find a trade. And if you miss one, it may be the only one for an hour or two, and you got to sit there for another hour or two. So just keep that in mind. But I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.